Akeem Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
Due to the decline in the production capacity of refineries, NNPC found it more convenient to export domestic crude.
House calls for investigation of petroleum product subsidy regime.
Uncertainty sets in when we have multiple agencies carrying out the same functions, leading to bickering, suspicion, and eventually duplication of efforts.
Plus, duplication of functions in government agencies. House inaugurates committee to investigate. A warm welcome to House Tickets, a weekly enlightenment program on the activities of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. On this episode of the program, we shall look at some very important bills and motions that the House considered in the week spanning 28th to 30th June 2022. The dangers of oil spills, security matters, investigating the subsidy regime, just to mention a few. In the course of the program, we will also bring you an extensive interview we had with the Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business, Lawmaker Abubakar Hassan Fulata, on a wide range of issues as it affects the performance of the Ninth House. We shall also visit the committee rooms for the inauguration of an important committee alongside other reports. The program resumes after this short break. Please don't go away.
The entire purpose of the legislative agenda is to direct our legislative resources and efforts in a coordinated effort to ensure the well-being of the individual in a life of safety and freedom. That is a high ambition, but it's well worth the effort. We have passed landmark legislation to fix our oil and gas industry, reform the police, and reorganize the corporate administration system in our country. We have considered and passed meaningful legislation that impacts all areas of our national life.
Welcome back. We shall start off with a summary of plenary proceedings for Tuesday 28th to Thursday 30th June 2022. Bills, motions and matters of urgent public importance were considered by the House with far-reaching resolutions adopted. Let's take that report as compiled and presented from our studio.
On Saturday 25th June 2022 of an ongoing oil leak.
During plenary of that week, Representative Ibrahim Isiaka moved a motion on the urgent need to investigate oil spills at OML 18, OML 29, and the status of all idle and isolated oil wells to avert renewed hostilities in the Niger Delta region of the country. While leading the debate, Representative Ibrahim Isiaka raised alarm that the National Oil Spillage Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, on Saturday, the 25th of June 2022, confirmed an ongoing leak towards the south of Port Harcourt in Rivers State, which has been on for up to a week.
As at date, the expected statutory required joint investigation visit by all relevant stakeholders of the government agencies are yet to be carried out, which means that the leak, as it were, portends grave consequences to the ecosystem and the affected communities.
Being investigative in nature, the motion was not debated. However, the House adopted a prayer which called on the House Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream and Environment to undertake a holistic assessment of the situation and report back to the House within 12 weeks for further legislative action.
Those in favor of
the motion was voted on, adopted, and referred to the House Committees on Petroleum Upstream and Environment.
6 out of the 10 wards in Bukwim local government of Zamfara State are currently under siege by armed bandits.
Under matters of urgent public importance, Representative Suleiman Abubakar moved a motion on the urgent need to bring to an end the siege on communities in Zamfara State by armed bandits.
On Monday 21st June 2022, armed bandits attacked Ruwan Rana, Binding Mbaya, Ruwan Jema, Rafin Maiki, Buzuzu, Gizaza, and Maizago villages, where they killed 11 persons, injured many others, and also rustled cattle and destroyed properties in the process.
Representative Abubakar stated that ransom demands and taxing of residents by the bandits have become a norm and is highly worrisome. The motion was voted on and adopted.
Those against this say nay. Ayes have it.
Prayers adopted on the motion were a call on the relevant security agencies of the government to ensure they beef up the presence of security personnel in the region, that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development should ensure the victims are comforted, mandate the relevant committees to ensure compliance with the resolutions, and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. On Wednesday, the 29th of June 2022, there was a motion on the need to investigate the petroleum product subsidy regime in Nigeria from 2017 to 2021. It was sponsored by Representative Sergius Ogun.
The House is also worried that the subsidy regime has been unscrupulously used by the NNPC and other critical stakeholders to subvert the nation's crude oil revenue to the tune of over 10 billion USD. The House resolves to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the petroleum product subsidy regime from 2017 to 2021 and report back to the House within 8 weeks for further legislative action.
Even though the motion was investigative, it generated contributions from lawmakers.
If you recall, we have an ad hoc committee already in place to investigate the assets and liabilities of the NNPC.
And there's no way you handle asset and liability of an NNPC without determining the subsidy regime, how much payable to an NNPC, how much an NNPC is paying to the on behalf of a subsidy. So on this note, we cannot differentiate both of them. But the NNPC, as of today, it has given us a record of what they've spent on subsidy as at from 2017 to date. And the report will actually tighten up the report so we can bring it to the floor of the House.
Assets and liability can never be equated with subsidy. This is periodic. 2017 to 2021 is periodic. Asset and liability can be a longer period of time. So you can't compare the two together. We are talking about two different things here. So therefore, I disagree with what my colleague has just said, that they are the same. They are not the same.
They are two different things. And the essence of us being here is not only to protect taxpayers' money, but to make sure that taxpayers' money works for taxpayers, which subsidy, if you look at it, by nature, we are trying to see that taxpayers' money that is being used to subsidize petroleum product is used for the purpose intended. They are two different things. Assets and liability, you just want to know.
Representative Babangida Ibrahim proposed an amendment to substitute the term NNPC in the motion, as it no longer exists as an agency of government but as National Petroleum Company Limited. The motion was voted on and adopted as amended.
Ayes have it.
Other prayers include to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the petroleum products subsidy regime from 2017 to 2021 and report back to the House within 8 weeks for further legislative action. The House also entertained a number of bills at various stages of consideration. Still on Wednesday, the 29th of June 2022, a bill for an act to establish Electoral Offences Commission and for related matters, sponsored by Representative John Deere, and a bill for an act to establish Electoral Offences Commission and the Electoral Offences Tribunal to provide for the legal framework for investigation and prosecution of electoral offences, for the general improvement of the electoral processes in Nigeria and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Alhassan Adodogwa, alongside 3 other lawmakers, were jointly presented for debate.
This was debated on the floor last sitting, and we agreed that these 2 bills and all other associated bills in connection with same matter be consolidated. On this note, Mr. Speaker, I, on behalf of the House, move that the 3 bills be consolidated.
The bills were voted on and approved for consolidation. They were debated the following day, being Thursday, the 30th of June 2022, during which lawmakers agreed that the bill will go a long way in improving the electoral process in Nigeria.
This bill is very relevant and germane for the dream or the quest for Nigeria to attain a truly democratic status country in the Committee of Nations, especially against the backdrop of the clamor to deliver an election that is transparent, fair, and accountable to the yearnings and aspirations of the people of this country.
This is a unique privilege, Mr. Speaker, to establish the commission that will be dedicated to the deterrence and punishment of electoral offenders. But one must quickly acknowledge that this road is not altogether new for us as a nation.
Members are very active participants in the political landscape of Nigeria, and we see electoral offenders in every election. We therefore urge members to support this bill so that it passes second reading.
You are still onto the program House Ticket, your legislative digest on the activities of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. As I mentioned at the beginning, we had an interview with Lawmaker Abubakar Hassan Fulata, who is the Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business. The lawmaker expressed what he regards as successes of the Ninth House, even as it is gradually winding down.
We came up with what has never been done, a legislative agenda. We articulated the major areas of concentration from the economy, security, health, and education. These were our areas of concentration, and many more other areas also.
As the chairman of a committee that gazettes and processes bills and motions, the lawmaker gave some of the outstanding bills that have been passed by the Ninth House since inception.
The House has processed 1,977 bills. This is within a period of 3 years. We have also processed 1,130 motions covering many areas of interest to the legislature. And within this period of 3 years, we have been able to pass bills that have proved other assemblies extremely difficult to pass, especially the one dealing with Petroleum Industry Act, PIA now. For the past 50 years, all successive assemblies found it difficult to pass such a very crucial piece of legislation. It is to our credit that we passed the PIA.
Representative Abubakar Hassan Fulata also told us how his committee has fared in the discharge of its duties as well as challenges since inception till date.
It is the responsibility of the committee to sit down, screen those bills in terms of their relevance. We also cross-check those bills against existing laws so that you don't create duplication. You don't enact a law that contradicts other laws. You also subject those bills to the scrutiny so that it doesn't contradict any section of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mark you, any law that is in conflict with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is null and void to the extent of the area of contradiction. So it's been very, very difficult, but we've been able to. We also process the motions. Mostly members give us raw bills. It is up to the Committee on Rules and Business to sit down, edit those motions, correct grammatical errors, reduce them to size and then present them to the House for consideration. So it's been very, very difficult. And then, like you, we are grossly underfunded as a committee, but still we've been able to carry along.
Moving into an election year, the lawmaker spoke on the expectations from the Ninth House as well as his committee.
We are determined to make sure that our record is unbeatable, especially with regards to motions and bills as far as other assemblies are concerned. I don't know what will happen after the election, especially in the view of the fact that many probably may not come back. It has been consistent. The rate of attrition in the National Assembly is so high. Already about nearly more than half of the Assembly has lost, nearly more than half of the Assembly have lost their seats to primary elections. So God knows what will happen, really. But as far as where I'm concerned, well, I'm coming back, but I don't know in what capacity I'm coming back to the 10th Assembly.
That was Lawmaker Abubakar Hassan Fulata in an extensive interview with House Ticket on a wide range of issues. We will take a short break here, and when we return, we will take a report from the committee room where the Speaker formally inaugurated an ad hoc committee to investigate duplication of functions of agencies of the federal government. Keep watching.
We have to do away with the issue of...
If there are challenges, you can always come to the National
We must back that effort by
If there was only 2% left, why didn't the ministry inject some money for 20?
Why it's fighting for the same area that they have operated there? And you expect to come and clap?
During the inauguration of the ad hoc committee to investigate duplication of functions of agencies of the federal government, the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, sadly noted that an organization's vision and mission must of necessity be derived from the mandate and functions enunciated by its Establishment Act or any instrument that establishes it. He called for an objective investigation to come up with relevant solutions to the apparent continuous conflict of functions and avoidable bickering among established MDAs, resulting in ineffectiveness, inefficiency, and redundancy in the government workforce.
The House of Representatives is not out to witch hunt any individual or organization, but we are propelled by our desire to ensure good governance and in the exercise of our legislative oversight powers as enshrined in Section 88 and 89 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended.
Chairman of the committee, Representative Victor Melat-Danzaria on his part, said the ad hoc committee was set up as a result of the resolutions made on a motion, adding that the subject matter has become a big problem. He noted that the committee will conduct detailed investigation, which will go a long way in carrying out its mandate.
The legislature is only demonstrating its sensitivity as a critical stakeholder. I want to assure Nigerians that the committee will conduct detailed investigation into the activities of some of these agencies and at the end lay a report that will go a long way in strengthening identified agencies of the federal government by ending bickering and duplications of duties and responsibilities.
Mover of the motion that led to the inauguration of the committee, Representative Mohammed Tahir Mongono, who was represented by Representative Sada Soli Jibia, said seeming corruption and challenges have been observed in the MDAs, which saw the House moving to address the concerns in order to avoid waste.
We observed all these challenges in these 1,484 MDAs, and we thought there is need to address these problems. Where did we observe these problems? During our series of oversight functions. The public, the general public, may not understand or may not really appreciate some of the oversight functions, even if they are casual visits there are certain takeaways we come back to the Parliament with.
Still on reports from the committee rooms, the House of Representatives on Tuesday, 5th July 2022, during an investigative hearing, lamented the failure by the leadership of government agencies in charge of fuel supply to respond to its invitations and read a riot act to them. The agencies are the NNPC Limited, the CBN, the Petroleum Products Marketing Company PPMC Limited, the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, the Federal Ministry of Finance, and the Accountant General of the Federation's Office.
And to provide your own, perspective to the stories.
Representative Peter Akpatason, Deputy Leader of the House who represented the Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, said that the purpose of the investigative hearing was to rub minds with the ad hoc committee of the House investigating the volume of fuel consumed in Nigeria daily. He stressed that the absence of representatives of the agencies was unacceptable to Parliament since they held the responsibility of managing fuel supply but were reluctant to show accountability.
And I want to make it very clear that if you conceal information, there are so many ways to get such information. You only run yourself into trouble by concealing information. The topic for this investigation is a very controversial issue. I'm sure you are all aware of that. It is the volume of consumption that determines how much subsidy that you have to pay with Nigerian government funds. Huge sums of money are being spent on subsidy payments. Nigerians don't know how much fuel we are consuming that warrants the payment of such humongous amounts.
Nigerians question.
Representative Dachung Bagos expressed doubts that those present at the hearing would be able to give the committee needed information.
Let us not start, and you will tell us that you don't have those informations, or you have to go back to the office, or the relevant department is not here. So we really need to know so that we will not waste our time and government money in doing this exercise.
Speaking in December and with further additions.
Representative Umana also frowned at the absence of the agencies expected to give the committee the needed data. He observed that it was the true determination of fuel consumption rate that would tell what the country would pay as subsidy.
In a nation where we have an annual appropriation of about 17 trillion and we're spending over 6 trillion on subsidy alone, almost half of the nation's revenue, and nobody takes this seriously. I'm not too sure whether we want the nation to succeed or whether we want it to go completely under. And we must take these things very seriously.
Following persons are summoned to appear at the next sitting of this committee. One,
Representative Abdul Qadir Saad, the committee chairman, on the instruction of the Speaker, immediately summoned the NNPC, PPMC, AGF, CBN, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, and the Ministry of Finance, among other absentee agencies.
This is where we end the program. We urge you to follow our social media handles showing on your screen to direct your observation, comments and questions, and even watch our previous programs. Let us meet again on this station for more activities of our elected representatives at the Green Chamber of the National Assembly. See you next time.